So here's something that the newer DX9 can't do that the DX7 Pro and the Pro Plus at home can. Right now we're on headphones. Let me hit play. Start playing. Not speakers, those are headphones. So what you can do is just take the remote and hit line out. Somebody turn these off. Somebody turned off the speakers. So, what you can do So here's something that the DX9 can't do, kind of, that the DX7 Pro and Pro Plus can. We are playing music here, playing right there. Let's crank it up and you can hear it through the headphones. So what will happen is right now we're in headphones. You can actually see that it's a USB. Now if I hit line out, it switches to Alright, so here's something the DX9 really doesn't do well compared to the DX7 and DX7 Pro. I wonder if it's something that can be added or just tweaked slightly. The older DX7S ran into an issue where you just basically have to unplug the headphones. Because you could turn off the line out, but you couldn't do that for the headphones. So you'd have both happening at the same time. What happens here right now is we're outputting to the headphones. You can see it's playing. I can't hear it because the headphones will turn it up. There we go. So right now, and you can see we're on a USB, is it P0? Or phone, maybe? If we hit line out on the remote, it switches to the last used line out, and if I turn it up, there you are. Now if we just switch back to phones, that's working. So what it does is when you press these, right, it switches between them and goes to the last one that was used. So if we go back to line out, it goes to XLR because that's where we're at. If we switch to RCA, then switch back to headphones, right? And switch back to line out, it goes back to RCA. Like, it remembers that. Whereas on the DX9, you have to cycle through all of them, from what I can tell. There's more functionality, but it's actually less useful if you're somebody like me who wants to just switch between the two inputs. When I said inputs at the end there, I meant outputs. So basically, I use headphones or I use speakers. The speakers are generally an XLR, sometimes an RCA. I do have the different jacks, but on these, it's just whatever's plugged in. There is no switching. And you just so you can still change that via, like, because you can do headphone and line out at the same time, or you can just do headphone or line out. Whereas with DX9, you cycle through your 3 headphone outputs, and your 2-ish line outputs. And so if I want to stop using headphones and use speakers, I have to cycle the headphones to off, which I'll demonstrate when I get back to the DX9. And you have to cycle to the correct line out, rather than it should just remember the last line out you used and go to that first. Same thing with, like normally I use a 4.5 mil. I just don't have that cable here today. So I normally would want it to go right back to that. If I'm on line out and I switch to headphone, I'd want it to go to the 4.5 mil. It should just remember the last used one. Here's something else that the DX7 DX7 Pro and Pro Plus do that the DX9 doesn't. I mean, that's because it kind of constantly always has the same output, and you're just switching what it's going to. So what happens is, say I want this a bit louder here, and I'm listening to the headphones real loud. The M1STs from Sony are really sensitive, so that's decently loud there, right? And then you switch to line out. Right, line out. Yep. We were already on line out. So here's something that the DX7 Pro and Pro Plus seem to handle better than the DX9 as well. So for example, right now we're on the headphones, and the M1ST are pretty sensitive, so 40 is enough on low gain. But we want to listen real loud, 30, okay? Now let's go to line out, which in this case XLR to the monitor speakers. Look, it's at 40, right? And then we switch to, just head back to headphones, it goes back to 30. How the DX9 does it, and we'll go over that in a bit here, is it's just like one constant volume. So when you switch from headphones to speakers, and if that's a drastic different volume level, you're going to have to crank up or lower the volume despite changing outputs. When most cases I'm using the same or similar pair of headphones at least fairly regularly, which will be at the same volume, and the speakers will always be at the same volume unless they change the physical speaker. So when I change outputs, it should retain the it was really at least nice and useful on here that it retains the volume of said output. It's a nice usability thing. Here's something else that's more of just a suggestion. This is the DX7 Pro Non-Plus, and this one came with obviously Bluetooth. I think some other ones had it first, but in the DX7 line at least, this is the first one. It came with this little antenna, and I really like a little stubbier antenna with the metal right angle. Starting with the Pro Plus, it came with just the cheap chintzy plastic. It's a little bit taller, might have more dB gain. I just think this one looks much nicer and feels much more robust. I actually ended up finding out which model it was and picking some up for the Pro Plus and the DX9. I don't know what the reasoning was to switch it to the chintzier looking one, but yeah, I just actually super liked how that looked and fit, etc. on the Pro. Nice little compact unit.